Webinar, Photorealistic Rendering with SOLIDWORKS Visualize. I'm Kristen Wilson from SOLIDWORKS Brand Marketing. Just want to let you know that this webinar is being recorded and you will receive a copy about a day or so after the webinar. I would like to introduce our presenter for today, Brian Hilmer. Brian is the new product manager for SOLIDWORKS Visualize, formerly known as Bunkspeed, and is excited to bring 3D visualization to the masses. With a degree in industrial design, he's able to understand the user's needs and tailor cutting-edge software experiences that speak directly to real-world design and engineering workflows. His unique blend of design, photography, and digital painting has helped him craft the perfect 3D visualization tool, pulling from 12 years of previous industry experience. Prior to SOLIDWORKS, Brian designed cars and playsets for Hot Wheels and Matchbox, sport boats for Sea Ray Boats, and kitchen appliances for General Electric. Go ahead, Brian.
Great. Thanks for the introduction, Kristen. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. We are super excited to show you Visualize. And I'd first like to, before we jump into a quick live demo, I'd like to go through and kind of lay out the issues with a very short presentation that I gave at SOLIDWORKS World, laying out the issues that people may have currently in the marketplace with their current visualization tools, and kind of show you the solution that we've created to help you make your lives much easier. So first of all, let's go through the importance of photo quality visualization. So why the heck is this important to me as an end user? So my goal in ours at SOLIDWORKS Visualize team is to democratize visualization. So we want to make visualization super easy and make it accessible for the masses. And as you can see, our goal here, this is our mission statement, is to enable designers, creatives, engineers, marketers, content creators, basically anybody that has a 3D model in their design pipeline, to have an enhanced 3D decision-making experience in a fast, easy, and fun way. And that's the brand mantra for Visualize, fast, easy, fun. You'll be hearing me say that a lot throughout this quick presentation. So like I said, let's first lay out some of the current issues that you might be having with your 3D pipeline. So a lot of times it might be difficult to receive buy-off on final design or engineering direction from stakeholders using either technical drawings, orthographic views, rough CAD screenshot. So it's really difficult to make any final decision based off of that really rough visual. Another issue that we can help solve is the first run prototypes coming back from manufacturing might look completely different than the images that were approved for the final design or engineering direction. This happens a lot, especially as you are in the manufacturing portion of your design development. When you get those first prototypes back, and again, they just look completely than the non-photorealistic images or technical drawings that you originally approved before going into production. And we can also help solve any delayed marketing campaigns due to the unavailability of the actual physical model for the traditional photo shoot. So let's say you're designing cell phones or cell phone cases, and you want to take photos of those new cell phone cases and put them on your website to start getting interest from users or from potential customers buying your product. A lot of times you have to wait until you get the final physical prototype back in order to take those photos and put them up on your website or into your brochures or any other marketing campaigns. So these are three main issues that we've seen that are currently in the marketplace, just experienced by end users such as yourself, that we can easily solve. And we'd like to accelerate the design process with Visualize and help deliver better products to the market and to your customers much faster. So that's what Visualize can help solve. As you look here, this is a good cross-section of some bad technical drawings or CAD screenshots that may have historically been used to have the final design or engineering buy-off. But now you see the image on the right there, created in Visualize. Now you can actually see an exact photo of what that product, in this case, this airplane and a propeller engine, might look like before it's even produced, before you even spend a cent on physical prototyping. So here's a game I like to play just to show you that we're now blurring the line between what's a photograph and what's an image from Visualize. So with SOLIDWORKS Visualize, you can actually help revolutionize the design process. Seriously, completely revolutionize it because we blurred that line. So what's real, what's a photograph? One of these is a traditional photograph in a photo studio, and the other one is an image created in Visualize. So which one do you think is the one from Visualize, right or left? And the image on the left is the one from Visualize. Again, blurring that line, can't tell the difference. Here's another example, this nice interior room here. Again, one's a photograph, the other's an image straight out of Visualize. No post-processing, no post-production on it. And the image on the right is the one from Visualize. And I've got one more, and this was the demo that we were actually showing at the 2016 SOLIDWORKS World show floor. Again, one of this is an actual photo of that juicer. We had it there in person. And then the other one is the image created in Visualize. Which one do you think it is? And the image on the right is the one created in Visualize. So again, we're blurring the line. Now you can't tell what's a photograph, what's a rendered image, or we like to say photograph from Visualize. Because now the glass that you see there, the metal flake, all that looks completely real in Visualize. So now you can create that photographic content and then help make those better design and engineering decisions much earlier on in the design process. Another trend that we've noticed is, buyers and customers wanting more out of their 3D data to help make purchasing decisions. So now that you have your model painted, in this case this drone in Visualize, or this drone, you can easily create other immersive content with your drone. For example, like this QuickTime VR. That might be a little choppy on your end, but basically, rather than showcasing this drone in just a few images or pictures and putting it up on Amazon or on a website to buy, I'd much rather buy this drone if I can rotate it, zoom in, zoom out, look at all the little details as you just saw in the image on the right there to help make that better purchasing decision. Because it's all about creating an emotional connection with your target audience, be it your design manager, your engineering manager, or even your end consumer who's going to buy this drone. The more content you can create with your 3D data and the more photographic that content is, the more your target audience is going to have an emotional connection with what you're showcasing, and the more likely they are to buy it. So that's why photo quality visualization is super important these days. So with Visualize, you can design in a virtual photo studio, just like you would if that drone was physically prototyped, put into a photo studio. Visualize is basically the camera in your hand. You're walking around that drone, taking photos of that drone. So three main ways where Visualize helps deliver better products to the market much faster. The first one is you can make more educated design decisions, like I said, much earlier on in the design process. Because in this case, this watch image here, I can see exactly what it's going to look like if I go out and produce that watch before spending a single penny on physical prototyping. Which is the second point here. This Visualize helps reduce the cost and number of physical prototypes, which can be super expensive, especially considering car prototypes cost in the millions. So it can definitely help save some money there. And here's the big one, is that because Visualize produces photo quality content, you can now create this high-level marketing content in parallel with the final stages of your design development or your manufacturing process. And I'll talk about that more in a bit later. That's kind of the main areas where we see current issues in the market, and where we created this solution, which is SOLIDWORKS Visualize, to help solve those issues that you guys are having. As you may know, Visualize used to be called Bunkspeed, but now it's rebranded under the SOLIDWORKS name, so it's called SOLIDWORKS Visualize now. And we launched at SOLIDWORKS World in 2016 with two flavors of Visualize. We have Visualize Standard and Visualize Professional. Now the great thing is about Visualize Standard, as you see there, if you have SOLIDWORKS CAD, Pro and Premium, and are on active subscription, Well, you get Visualize Standard for free. And that's one-to-one. I mean, if you have 10 seats of SOLIDWORKS CAD Pro, you get 10 of SOLIDWORKS Visualize Standard. And the cool thing is you don't have to have SOLIDWORKS CAD installed on the same machine where you install any Visualize product. So you can give these Visualize Standard seats to anybody in your company, and they can, someone can do the SOLIDWORKS modeling, and then the other person in a completely different department can have SOLIDWORKS Visualize on their machine and create all beautiful photorealistic content. One thing to note, there's no visual quality difference between standard and professional. You get the exact same photoreal quality in both. The only difference in professional is more features and more enhanced advanced workflows as well. So with standard, we like to say it's the fastest and easiest way to professional images. Again, anybody who needs to take photos of their 3D data. And where professional steps up to the next level, as you can see by that nice animation there of the Marvel Avengers. This would be the Captain America Schmidt Hydra coupe, as you see there. Visualize Professional allows you to tell a deeper story with your 3D content, meaning animation, camera flies, cool workflows like render queues, immersive content like that VR that I showed you of the drone in the previous slide, as well as interior panoramas to help immerse yourself inside an interior scene. Some great features like configurations. So that's kind of where the difference is between Visualize Standard and Professional. And with Visualize, either Standard or Professional, either one, it really does help boost the speed to market. So let's go ahead and look at a typical design development cycle of, let's say, like a fridge from General Electric where you used to design for. Throughout the typical design workflow, you've got sketching, 3D modeling, physical prototyping, manufacturing, then that traditional product photography to build up your marketing and sales campaigns. And this can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months. But the minute you inject Visualize into this workflow, we've noticed that you can actually shorten the design cycle in the beginning because you can see exactly what the product you're designing, in this case the fridge, is going to look like in a complete photo reel. And you can then, in parallel, finish your physical prototyping as you move towards manufacturing and do your marketing and sales collaterals, your campaigns, your brochures, websites, whatever, because now you have that photo reel content from your CAD data. And we've actually seen, this isn't a lie, we've taken our top customers and averaged their time savings together, and the average is 40% reduction just by inserting Visualize into their daily workflow. So here are some other customers that are using Visualize. Some of these have been longtime bunk speed customers since we've been around since 2002, but have transitioned over to Visualize as well. And as you see, perfect photo quality in minutes, hence the watch image there, minutes, so a nice watch image. So with Visualize, it's a super easy to use, intuitive interface. Where you think something might exist in the interface is exactly where we placed it. We spent a lot trying to make that super easy and diminish any learning curve. We have the industry-leading best time to quality. What I mean by time to quality is the amount of time that it takes from the very first fresh import to painting the model, adding lighting, adding cameras, then actually finally doing the rendering. So that's not just the render time. So if you combine all that together, we have the industry-leading best time to quality. And as I mentioned, SOLIDWORKS Visualize is a standalone application. So even if you don't have SOLIDWORKS CAD, you can still purchase SOLIDWORKS Visualize since we import well over 25 different file formats. So much beyond the SOLIDWORKS parts and assemblies. Rhino, SketchUp, Pro-E, 3D Studio Max, and a bunch of interchangeable formats like SPX, OBJ, STEP. As I mentioned, about 25. So you can use Visualize for any sort of 3D visualization with any CAD product that we, CAD format that we support, and again, it's over 25. So perfect photo quality in minutes, super easy to use. And here's something else that I like to say is Visualize is the camera for your CAD data. If I can get that stuck into your heads after the webinar today, I've done my job. So Visualize is the camera for your CAD data. And by camera, you can literally take photos of your products. And here are some good examples from some customers throughout the breadth of industries that Visualize services. You can see automotive, footwear, product, jewelry, packaging, architecture, interior. So a wide breadth of industries that Visualize can service. So to recap the capabilities, Visualize Standard is taking still images, beautiful still images of your project. And Visualize Professional gives you a bit more advanced features such as interior panoramas, exterior VRs, one-click 360 spin, so you don't need to keyframe anything. Literally, it's just a click of a button in Visualize, as well as really cool, captivating feature camera fly animations, as you see there with the animation ribbon flying around the MacBook. So again, you can tell a deeper story with Visualize Professional, but you both have the same awesome photo quality. So here are the buzzwords like I mentioned in the beginning: fast, easy, fun. So fast, meaning not only the rendering time, but also the time it takes to set up the renders. Easy, so everything's drag and drop in our interface, super easy to use. Again, we'd like to diminish any learning curve. And if you have something that's fast and easy, it's likely going to be fun because you're going to want to come back to it day in and day out. And we have some cool camera filters and some cool features in there to really help explore your creativity with Visualize. As a designer myself, this 3 visualization part in the design process is really the most gratifying, because until now, like that watch image right there, for example, until I could render this in Visualize and see it in photo quality, it's only existed in my head as a bar napkin sketch or just very, very quick ad marker drawings. But this is the first time that I can actually see it in photoreal. So that's why I really like this part of the design process. Cool, so that's enough of me talking about Visualize. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So here's SOLIDWORKS Visualize Standard. And Standard actually opens up within Easy mode here, as you see at the bottom of the screen right here. So we've got Import, Paint, Scenes, Camera, and Render. And we have them numbered just in case you get lost, so it's super easy. And you'll note that we have this nice juicer model that you see here. And this model came to us from the great designers at 5.5 design team who've been working with Molinet to create this beautiful juicer. So thank you very much to that team for allowing us to use this real-world data, which, by the way, was also modeled in SOLIDWORKS. Okay, so we've got our model here. The first button is to import a model. Although it's already in our scene, I'd still like to show you this process. Here's just a few of the CAD file formats that Visualize does support. You can see a bunch here, and like I said, we import over 25 file formats. So our model's already imported. Don't need to do that step, so we'll just go on to the next one. We'll click the second button here, which is Paint, which brings up our Paint floating window. And like I said, everything's drag and drop. Super, super easy. So we can take this clear glass appearance, for example, that you see here, and literally just drag and drop them over. And I can do the same over here, maybe put it on this clear part, because I know that's going to be glass as well. And I can use a nice shortcut instead of dragging and dropping every time. So I'm a sucker for shortcuts. If I hold down Control and left click on that glass appearance and still holding down Shift, so Shift left click on that glass appearance and Shift right click, it pastes that same appearance. So that's really, really easy. So I can hold down Shift and then right click to paste the column on the top there as well. So rather than dragging over appearances that I've already made from scratch, we can go to our library icon here just by clicking on the books. And then we have 2 other icons here. This first one is the stack of disks, which shows you all of your Visualize content saved on your local machine. However, if I click the little globe here, as you see there, I now am looking directly at the Visualize Cloud Library. Now that's an online library of almost 1,000 free assets for you to use in all of your Visualize projects. We're talking appearances, textures, cameras, and especially environments as well. So if I go to the metallic paint here, and you see everything that has a check mark means I've already downloaded it. Looks like I've already downloaded most of everything here. So I'll just drag over the ivory paint, metallic paint, because it has a nice flake in it. Just drag and drop them over. Super easy. And we need some metal here in Juicer, so I'll go to the metal folder. And within the metal folder, just grab some chrome. And again, just drag and drop. And now that it's already in my scene, I can do that nice shortcut that I used before. Shift left click to copy and shift right click to paste. And maybe I want some chrome around the power button as well. Right click to paste. And let's see what else is missing. I need some black plastic for the inner part of my juicer on the stand on the bottom there. Well, instead of making this black plastic, again, because all of these appearances are already made for you, I can go to the plastics folder in the cloud library and search for, I don't know, the molded plastic works pretty well. It has a nice bump map already on it, so I don't even have to texture map or do a thing. All I have to do is just drag and drop it over. Now I've got the black on the bottom, and then just simply shift left click to copy and shift right click to paste on the other plastic bits of this juicer. Now we're missing one red appearance probably in the middle here. So all I'm going to do is just click on this glass appearance, and you can see it outlined in orange. And I'll just simply use the shortcut Control-H to hide. And I've already created a red color that I like to use, red plastic. I'll drag and drop it right there. And right mouse click is your best friend in Visualize. Anything you're looking for 9 times out of 10 will exist in this right mouse click menu. So right mouse click and then choose Show All to bring back that glass piece. Now that my products from this juicer is mostly already painted, before I go into my lighting, which is my next button, my scenes button, I'm going to turn on the magic button in Visualize, or the ray tracing button. I'm going to hover over my main toolbar here in the center, and you can see I've got 3 and a 4th super secret mode that's coming out in 2017. So I've got 3 main buttons here: Preview, Fast, and Accurate. With Preview selected, as you see it's selected right here, Alt, and a variety of the mouse controls, the mouse buttons. We'll rotate the model, so Alt and left click rotate, Alt and middle mouse button pan, Alt right mouse button zoom in and out, and Alt and actually scrolling the scroll wheel changes my focal length, as you see there. So in preview mode, everything updates in real time, meaning I don't have to wait for anything to render or res up, as I call it. Fast mode and accurate mode are the 2 ray tracing modes in Visualize. For 90% of your projects, fast mode will be just fine. So fast mode is Visualize's biased renderer, so it takes some shortcuts to really increase your render speeds. Fast mode is great, like I mentioned, for almost all of your products and projects. But if you have interiors or jewelry or stuff that has a bunch of transparency stacked on top of each other, like a headlight lens or a headlamp lens for cars, you're probably going to want to use accurate mode. But fast mode is going to be fast enough. It's anywhere from like 3 times faster than accurate mode. However, accurate mode is the 100% photoreal, scientifically accurate render engine. So if you really need that extra bit of realism, go ahead and use accurate mode. But all the tutorials and all my demos are usually recorded in this fast mode since it looks great. And as I rotate the camera, right, so Alt and left mouse button moves the camera around the model. As soon as I let go, I find a nice composition I like. As soon as I let go, you can see that the noise starts to go away. And the longer I let it sit here, the more refined, the more photorealistic, and the more noise-free this image becomes. Again, I like to call Visualize an interactive photograph. That's what we're doing. We're interacting with a photograph here. All right, so I've got my model already painted. Let's go ahead and go to the next step, which is our scenes floating window. And we'll do the exact same thing. I have a scene in here already. But let's go ahead and go to the library. And we'll go to the cloud library here. Expand the window a bit to find one that I'd like to drag over. Let's see. Most of these look pretty good. I'll go ahead and drag over this one here, the softbox. This might give us some nice reflections. So one thing to note, because I'm looking at the cloud library, and this one did not have a green check mark next to it, as you see in the upper right of the screen, it's now downloading that HDR. It's downloading that environment from our Visualize Cloud library, so I can use it in any future product without having to be, being connected to the internet. So it never has to download, and it only has to download once. And there you go, in just a few seconds, there we go. It's now active in our scene, and there aren't any lights or physical lights in this scene. In Visualize Professional, you can add point, spot, and directional lights. But I typically like to keep my scene super clean and just use this one HDR image to control my lighting, my shadows, and all my reflections. So let's go ahead and grab another one here from our library. Maybe I'll go to my local library. This Blurred Photo Studio is a nice environment. It's great for product photography. I can drag over maybe one more. I likely wouldn't choose one of these outdoor environments because this juicer would likely only sit inside, if you know what I mean. Wouldn't really be out on a racetrack or anything. Drag over maybe one more. So this is kind of the workflow that I do. Is I find some of these environments that I think might look good and just drag and drop and have some fun to see if this is something that I like. So once I drag an environment over, again, I'm a sucker for shortcuts. One of my favorite shortcuts is rotating the environment, which is Alt, Control, and left mouse click. And it might be difficult for you to see there, but as I move my mouse, it's actually rotating that HDR image, which again changes. If I look here, because I'm using this warehouse, all those little lights on the top there, those are now rotating around my object, in this case my juicer. So all my lighting information is baked into this one single image. And I can just double click on these other images of the other HDRs here to make them active in my scene. And I kind of really like that directional light, this first one that we were using. Again, Control Alt, left mouse click, rotate, kind of find some highlights. You can see that highlight by the power buttons rotating, so kind of get it to where I kind of want it to make it look nice and have a nice composition there and highlight where I want. And that's pretty much it. Then I'll close the scenes. I'll move to my camera. This one's fun. So in my camera, we've got a lot of nice features crammed into this little window. This is where you can click on the preset views of top, front, back, left, right, as well as cycle through any other cameras that you might have in your scene. Control the brightness, maybe the perspective. But my favorite are these Instagram-like camera filters here. So I can click Boost to give my image some boost. Sunset, which works great for outdoors. Again, this juicer probably wouldn't sit outdoors too much. Good old sepia, always love those. Fade, black and white. So feel free to play around with these custom or these camera filter presets. In Visualize Standard, you can choose between these 6, and in Visualize Professional, you can actually create your own camera filter preset. So it's a little overexposed. I'll decrease the brightness down by a little bit, maybe 0.6, just to get it a little less overexposed. There we go. Something like that might work nice, maybe 0.65. And again, this is the time that you can be super creative and visualize. So have fun with the camera filters, play around with the brightness, choose your environment and the rotation that you think looks really cool for your product. So you can make something like, this juicer look really cool and, pop off the page. So next step is just after I get my camera filters done, is just composing my final shot. Maybe you want to look at the back of the product. No, we haven't really looked at that too much. Maybe more towards the front. I can zoom in. Maybe I want to get a close-up of the power button there. I res up for a sec just so you can see that too. And notice the high-quality refractions that you're getting in the glass there at the top, and also down here as well. So it's super, super realistic. But this is going to be my main money marketing shot, so I'm just going to zoom out and fill the whole frame with this juicer. Maybe something about where we had it initially. Something about there looks pretty good. And then the last step is just to kick off a render. And as you see there, if I hover over the tooltip, it says left click to render or right click to view render profile. So I can easily just left click and it kicks off a render. Or what I can do is I can right mouse click and it brings up these render profiles that come with Visualize. And I can just click normal, totally fine, 1920 by 1080, which is standard HD size, and just click render. Now I'm not going to let this finish, but I would like to show you the render dialog that comes up, the render window. So we now have a new tab that shows up in the Visualize screen. At the very top, we have some nice information like how long the image is going to take to render once it starts the actual render. We have the progress bar over here on the upper left. And we also have the resolution at size at which the render is rendering. Now, if you ever get this in your Visualize viewport when you're rendering and you're thinking, oh man, did I crop my image? Nope, it's okay. You just chose a resolution that was larger than your screen can show. So just simply click that little blue button and that snaps your render to the size of your screen. And then you can watch the progress live as it goes. But like I said, I'm just going to cancel this for now and show you what some of the other images that I have already created with this product in Visualize. So that's as easy as Visualize can be. Fast, easy, fun, right? Super easy workflow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can create some beautiful photographic content literally in minutes. So one thing I'd like to show you that I was able to produce just before this webinar today is, let's go ahead and close this guy as well, is an extra output type, which is called VR, which is available in Visualize Pro, Visualize Professional. And what this is an interactive image. Might be a little jumpy for you, but if you rewatch the recording, it should be super smooth. This actually takes a bunch of still images and stitches them together into an interactive file. And all this is just an HTML file. It can be uploaded to any website, given to your design or engineering managers for internal reviews, or even this is a really cool sales tool, to put up on your website to help increase the sales of this juicer. Again, like I said, now I can rotate around here, look at some of these cool little features that would show off well more than just a couple still images. So that's why still images are no longer enough. You really do need this professional level content. So that's one. The other thing I'd like to show you, which might be a little slow coming through, is an animation. But again, if you watch this recording, it's buttery smooth. So this is an animation that I created. It took me maybe a half hour to keyframe. It's a nice exploded view. I'll let that play a couple times. There's also motion blur on there, as you can see. So motion blurs and the objects moving on the actual blender or chopper in the beginning of that, or the middle of that juicer as well, rotating. So all that's super easy to do. Like I said, you can tell a deeper story with Visualize Professional. Cool, so that's Visualize, 2 flavors, standard and professional. Again, fast, easy, fun. We really wanted to keep to minimize any learning curve and really just promote the fact that anybody can now create this beautiful photo content because Visualize is so easy to use. Cool, so I showed you the presentation, went through the demo really quickly. At this point, since I know there's a ton of people on the call, we might be breaking the GoToWebinar with the numbers that we have today. But we'd like to take a few questions at this time that some of you might have as common questions as well.
Great, thank you, Brian. We do have a couple questions. The first one is about the learning curve. We're asking, what's the typical learning curve for an experienced SOLIDWORKS user to become proficient in Visualize?
Sure, that's a great question. So with diminishing the learning curve, we really wanted to focus on making the software super easy to use, not only for just a SOLIDWORKS user, but for users of any CAD formats as well, since we import over 25 different kinds. We have made some improvements in our 2017 version that's coming out that really help the SOLIDWORKS users' workflows. I don't want to give away any details on that yet, but we have some pretty cool stuff there. But the main thing that you can diminish the learning curve, regardless of whatever CAD format you're coming from, is we have 16 small 3 to 5 minute long tutorials uploaded on mysolidworks.com. Go there, check them out. It really goes into detail as far as how to, the best practices for importing, how to do texture mapping, how to animate even, or even just how to create appearances. So all those to watch would really, really help diminish any learning curve. And if you're familiar with CAD, then in any CAD format, then SOLIDWORKS Visualize will be a breeze. But it's my goal, as I mentioned, and those at the Visualize team, to democratize visualization. So I'm trying to make this program easy enough for grandma to use as well.
Thank you, Brian. We have time for one more question, and we'll get back to everybody else through email, the questions that you've asked us in the next day or two. So the last question is, does the render engine use the CPU only, or does it utilize GPU rendering?
And another great question. Perfect. So Visualize can use 100% of your CPU. It can use 100% of your graphics card, and I'll get into that in a bit, or it can actually use 100% of your CPU and your graphics card at the same time with our cool new hybrid rendering mode. So if you don't have a high-level graphics card, no worries. Visualize will always run on your CPU, and we've actually made some crazy improvements with this fast render mode to render much, much faster on CPU. However, if you really want to kick it up to the next level, we really suggest and recommend NVIDIA graphics cards, because Iray, the render engine inside of Visualize, is an NVIDIA product. Visualize will only use NVIDIA graphics cards to accelerate your rendering. So that's when you can take advantage of the Quadro line of cards or the other NVIDIA cards that they offer, which will really, insanely boost your render speeds. We're talking like Spaceballs ludicrous speed when it comes to pairing a graphics card with Visualize.
Thank you, Brian. Any closing remarks?
Yes, thank you so much. So again, thank you everybody for joining today. We really, really appreciate everybody being able to take the time. The last thing I'd like to go over is just some important information, some key takeaways from the webinar today. So, as I mentioned earlier, SOLIDWORKS Pro and Premium users on active subs, right? They get Visualize Standard for free. Where can I get it? Simply just go to your customer portal, and there's 3 links that you can easily click to download Visualize. Super easy to do. Go ahead and get started. And again, if you have it for free, why not play around with it? The other one is, as I mentioned, make sure to watch those 16 tutorials up on mysolidworks.com. That's how you can become a pro in no time. We spent a lot of time making those tutorials to make them as efficient and easy to digest as possible. So definitely check those out to teach yourself and create some pretty cool content. Also, I created a Visualize rendered content thread on the SOLIDWORKS forum. So go ahead and go to SOLIDWORKS forum and search for the Visualize rendered content as you see there in quotes. And feel free, that's where is the one-stop shop to upload all of your cool content you've created in Visualize, to get feedback directly from myself, the Visualize team, and more importantly, the global community of Visualize users. That's a really active thread, so there's a lot of people watching that. So that's a great place to post your Visualize content for feedback. And then the last one, to help get the Visualize love out there, I greatly appreciate your help. If you have some cool stuff to share, go ahead and use the social media hashtags that you see there to help promote the Visualize content, which would be hashtag SOLIDWORKS Visualize, so hashtag SWVisualize, or as a throwback to Will Smith, getting jiggy with it, we're getting busy with it, so there's the other hashtag, getting busy. Really appreciate your help to get the love out there on social media. And again, we really appreciate you guys taking the time today to learn more about Visualize and also the importance of photoreal visualization. And we'll probably have a Visualize professional webinar in maybe the early Q4 of this year to help promote that product as well.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you everyone for attending the webinar. Again, we will send out this recording in the next day or so.
Great, thanks everybody.